is one of the most remote and undisturbed places in the nation. A vast and scenic land, a wilderness wonderland with barrier islands and lagoons, rolling tundra and braided rivers, glaciers and lofty mountains, boreal forests and wetlands. This combination of habitats supports a great diversity of wildlife. Nesting birds from 4 continents, numerous fish species, and several dozen mammals. Answer questions about the vole's life cycle, population dynamics, and the kind of habitat they prefer. Yellow-cheeked voles, the largest of Alaska's voles, are a colonial species and move into burned areas earlier than other vole species. Because they are an important food source for a wide array of Alaskan mammals and birds, the voles attract wildlife back into an area after a fire. They represent a vital link in the vast boreal forest ecosystem. Straddling the Arctic Circle is Selawik National Wildlife Refuge, named after the river which meanders through its tundra wetlands and bogs. The western Arctic caribou herd, one of the largest in North America, migrates through the refuge twice a year. Moose are often seen in the willow thickets that flourish at the edge of wetlands. For many thousands of years, the Inupiaq people have hunted, fished, and gathered berries along the Selawik River. These traditional activities continue to this day. In midsummer, the abundant berries ripen and entire families come out for the harvest. Having a firearm handy is only prudent, since bears also love the berries. It is also the calving ground for the mighty porcupine caribou herd, which migrates over an extensive area in Canada and Alaska. Arctic Refuge has the largest wilderness area in the National Wildlife Refuge System and is recognized as one of the finest examples of wilderness left on the planet. Tetlin National Wildlife Refuge, a land of broad river basins bordered by rugged mountains. The refuge's extensive lakes and marshes support large concentrations of nesting waterfowl and an increasing number of trumpeter swans. The refuge is on a major migratory bird corridor, and a wide variety of songbirds can be found here. For those traveling north on the Alaska Highway by car, Tetlin Refuge is just across the Canada-U.S. border. National Wildlife Refuge is an immense floodplain dominated by the mighty Yukon River and rimmed with rolling hills and mountains. Larger than the state of Vermont, the refuge has almost 40,000 lakes, sloughs, and ponds, which provide habitat for millions of waterfowl and other migratory birds. On the alpine meadows of the White Mountains, grizzly bears feed on the abundant berries, while a squirrel fattens up for the winter. 3 species of salmon spawn on the refuge after traveling nearly 1,000 miles from the ocean. Salmon are an important subsistence food for the native Alaskans living along the Yukon. Their fish wheels are both ingenious and effective. The Yukon Flats Refuge provides nesting habitat for many of the songbird species that migrate to Alaska's interior each summer.
Yeah, that's it. That'll do it.
For several years, refuge biologists have been alpine slopes, glaciers, rivers and lakes, and many of the wildlife species found across Alaska. Because it's an easy drive from Anchorage, Kenai is the most frequently visited of Alaska's national wildlife refuges, offering not only extraordinary vistas, but an opportunity to experience Alaska's natural environment firsthand. The Kenai River is the most popular sport fishing river in Alaska. Anglers come from all over the world to fish for its large and abundant salmon. Kenai has several accessible and popular campgrounds, boat ramps, and hiking trails. Most of Kenai National Wildlife Refuge populations at Canvasback Lake. Birds are captured with mist nets.
I know what you're saying.
Biologists carefully examine each bird.
You've got some streaks or something.
Vital statistics are measured and recorded.
That one you sent back from... Come on. Tell me.
After an identifying band is attached, the birds are free again. A rewarding moment for a biologist comes when a bird that had been banded in previous years is recaptured after its long migration to the tropics and back. In fact, birds banded on Yukon Flats have been recovered in 11 foreign countries, 8 Canadian provinces, and 45 of the 50 United States.
Not like a male, but he's little...
The birds from Yukon Flats are truly a shared resource. Is one of only 2 of Alaska's national wildlife refuges that can be reached by car. There are several scenic overlooks along the highway with interpretive panels and opportunities for photography. For the angler and camper, there are areas close to the Alaska Highway maintained by the refuge. Kenai National Wildlife Refuge, south of Anchorage, is Alaska in miniature. Kenai has wetlands, forests. In fact, almost 1/4 of the national refuges in Alaska were designated by Congress as wilderness. A promise that the land will remain forever in its natural state, roadless, undeveloped, pristine. Wilderness areas can be visited by foot, boat, or airplane, but no trace can be left after a visit. Camping, hiking, and river floating are adventurous ways to experience Alaska's refuges, but you must be well prepared. Take extra care when hiking to avoid confronting bear or moose, especially those with young. You can hunt and fish on all refuge lands in Alaska in accordance, and you must respect private property. There are many native communities within refuge boundaries that have private property. The ancestors of today's Alaska natives arrived from Asia thousands of years ago, and until fairly recently were entirely dependent on the land and waters for their livelihood. Today, many descendants of these same ancient people still rely on the same land, some of which is now on national wildlife refuges, to trap, hunt, fish, and gather food. These subsistence activities remain a cornerstone of their culture. Alaska's national protect the rich legacy of the past. By law, the countless archaeological sites found on refuge lands are protected from disturbance and artifact collection. All 16 national wildlife refuges in Alaska are special, each in its own way. From those where nest-filled rocky ledges are alive with millions of squawking seabirds, to those where caribou roam across the vast tundra, from those that straddle the mighty Alaskan rivers with their millions of wetland acres, to those refuges where Dall sheep and grizzly roam. Let us celebrate this gift we have given ourselves, the National Wildlife Refuges of Alaska. special places that can serve and protect our fish and wildlife heritage for the benefit of people today and generations yet to come.